Another storm system is expected to move through North America, creating severe weather and wintry conditions. Where, when, and how impactful each parameter could be will be all answered coming up in the video. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Nate. I also go by HockeyBoy8. We've been talking about a lot of stuff here on the channel lately with severe weather and winter weather every now and then, but I just want to say, you guys, I am so grateful for every single one of you for coming out to my channel. I mean, our channel has grown so much, and I know it's been under unfortunate circumstances, but without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do the stuff that I do right now and spread information like I can. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for being a part of my channel. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date with all the latest information that I will provide that could be impactful to people and property. Also, please be sure to like this video so that we can get this out to more and more people on YouTube, essentially spreading information to as many people as possible. That'd be greatly appreciated. And let's get right into the video here with the satellite imagery. We can see across the board, there isn't all too much except for up here in the western portions of the United States. You can see all these greens and oranges indicating a lot of thunderstorm or even snow activity that is residing within the area. Now, the one thing I want to mention here real quickly is that there is a flood watch for portions of California. So if you are in a flood watch, please be sure to watch out, as whenever there is a flash flood warning like there was earlier south of San Francisco, then you need to be sure to find a place to get to higher ground and turn around, don't drown, don't drive into flooded roadways, because flooded roadways can actually appear a lot shallower than they actually are, and that is what lures the trap to where people can get stuck in all these giant floods that you see on TV. But otherwise, big low pressure system here with all these winds, clouds, and snow showers, rain that is wrapping around it. This low pressure system is expected to move on through and into the central portions of the United States. Now, there hasn't been so much that has changed here for the 13th or the 14th, but here on the 15th, all right, this is Wednesday, we now have a risk here from the Storm Prediction Center of a 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale with a 5% chance of severe weather within that general vicinity. So watch out if you're in portions of Omaha, Des Moines, Rochester, Sioux City, and Waterloo, as there could potentially be some severe weather on Wednesday. Now, just because that this area is the only one that has the 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale does not mean that some other areas could potentially be impacted. I would not be surprised if we saw this area expand to anywhere within this vicinity of this bright green. So watch out, especially if you're within the general vicinity of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. So now let's take a look at the weather models, and we're going to be using two models here for our presentation today. We've got the North American model, or the NAM 3 kilometer here with us, as well as the Euro that we'll be using a little bit later on in the video. But if you want to see the timings, it is above me, and it is in Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in Central, you're going to have to subtract 1 hour, Mountain 2 hours, and Pacific 3 hours. So consider that when you're watching the timings up above me. But we're going to be taking a look at the simulated reflectivity. Green and yellow is rain, and blue is snow. And you can see that there is already a lot of snow across portions of higher elevations, but then you also see the reason why there is a flood watch for portions of California with how much rain is seeping in with that atmospheric river. And as this continues to linger into the evening and overnight hours, you can see a lot of this rain starts to turn into snow across portions of the Sierras. But the cool thing here that I find really interesting is that the low pressure system actually starts to move inland. Let's backtrack here to show you all that kind of curly Q motion. And you can see how it rotates counterclockwise as it moves on through, and that could create some strong gusty conditions towards portions of British Columbia as well as the upper northwest. So definitely something to watch out for if you're over in that general vicinity. And if you guys are along California here, watch out for some potential flooding, specifically if you're near LA and Cali. That could definitely be something to really watch out for. Now, I know from my friends in British Columbia, you guys can't see a whole lot as to what's going on up there, and I will be showing you guys the snow totals here right about now here with the giant snow totals here from the Euro model. The NAM 3 kilometer model, or even the NAM in general, can't really reach up to Canada all too much. Either that or it doesn't really do it all too well. So we're going to be using the Euro model in this instance. And you can see that the leftover snow that you guys have from this time period and onwards could potentially be in upwards of around a half a foot of snow. But otherwise, could potentially be just a general dusting in your general vicinity. So not really too concerning if you live in British Columbia, but otherwise, if you're in the higher elevations, you guys could be getting up to 3/4 of a foot of snow and upwards of 8 inches in some spots. And here in the Sierras, there could be some areas that could get up to 57 inches of snow according to the maximum, which is right there. So that is definitely something to consider for skiers, especially if you're big in skiing. The Sierras definitely will be starting to get a lot of snow here, and some ski slopes will definitely be getting some additional snow for their business. As for this general precipitation map here, this takes a look at both snow and rain. You guys remember that there was a lot of snow up here into the Sierras, so that's definitely more or less snow within that general vicinity, but anywhere that is to the west of the Sierras here, specifically along the coast, you can see that you're going to get a lot of rain, and practically anywhere along the coast here is going to get a plethora of rain, and upwards of an inch is possible, and maybe even higher than that the further south you go. So definitely something to watch out for. As I said, there is a flood watch that is in portions of California, and if you're in ever a flood warning or a flash flood warning, please turn around and don't drown. Do not drive into flooded roadways. So now let's take a look at the big picture here with the 500 millibar wind shear, which is about 6 kilometers above ground level. You can see the same thing that we talked about in yesterday's video with how this low pressure system is going to create a lot of wind shear that's going to surge into California. And that's the reason why there's so much moisture that's going to be pulling into that general vicinity. It's that atmospheric river that's grabbing a lot of moisture and creating those showers and thunderstorms and even snow showers in higher elevations. So something to watch out for that, as I have mentioned. But then as we continue further and further on from Monday into Tuesday, you can see that low pressure system that I was talking about now starting to bowl in. This giant dip in the jet stream is what we call a trough. And right at the top of that trough, right here in that bowl, is where the low pressure system is indicated in that L. And that will continue to surge on through, as I mentioned earlier in the video, to the central portions of the United States. And you can see how there is a lot of enhanced wind shear that is being brought with it. So watch out for that as this continues to move on through, because there is expected to be a lot of strong wind shear in the upper levels. And now we're going to take a look at the lower levels with the 850 millibar wind shear, which is about 1 kilometer above ground level. And you can see here on Monday, or specifically the afternoon here of Monday, we've got a decent amount of wind shear here as a low-level jet, but not completely insane like we've seen in the past. And so let's see if this thing changes as it continues to progress further and further towards Tuesday evening and into Wednesday. And yep, indeed, that wind shear starts to really ramp up, specifically across portions of the Central Plains from Kansas down into Oklahoma. That is then going to bring a lot of this moisture that has been sitting across the Gulf of Mexico and along the coastline and bring it further and further north into the area of severe weather, which the Storm Prediction Center has indeed noticed with the day 3 convective outlook. So watch out for that. And even as this continues into the overnight hours, the wind shear really starts to ramp up. We got a giant positively tilted long wave trough with a negatively tilted shortwave trough into some areas here, as well as a positively tilted shortwave trough here. So there is definitely a lot of stuff to watch out for as this continues to move about, but still a very strong system here from a wind shear perspective is expected according to the models. Now, to show you all what I mean by how that moisture just rises from the Gulf of Mexico, we're going to take a look at the dew points here at the surface. Of course, the scale is at the bottom, so you can interpret what you want, but just realize that anywhere near the yellows or above that into the oranges is around 60-degree dew points and above, which is favorable for severe weather that could be strong. So let's watch how this works. And as I said, the 850 millibar wind shear is just going to rise this moisture further and further north. And look at this. You can see how moisture levels on Wednesday morning. This is Wednesday morning towards the midnight vicinity. Dew points is already in the 60s here across portions of eastern Oklahoma and almost up into the 50s into portions of northern Missouri. So watch this. As this continues further and further into the afternoon and evening hours of Wednesday, you can see the moisture really start to span up into portions of Iowa. Sure, the dew points are in the 50s in some spots over here, but there are some areas that could get up to the 60s as well. So watch out for the moisture content within that general vicinity. I anticipate some sort of weak line to start to form here just based off of my initial look off of this. Of course, that could definitely change and that perspective could change as it moves on through. So that would be more of a damaging wind risk more than a tornado risk, but you could potentially see some embedded rotations within the line as well. As a matter of fact, there has been historical situations where that has happened too, especially with the strong wind shear in those type of events. And we've got something similar here to where we have weaker rotations, weaker tornadoes within a line that'll continue to move on through given the low amounts of dew points. So it's definitely something to watch out with that. And even as this continues, you can see this massive cold front here between a lot of this warm, moist air right within here and then the dry air on the opposite side. So definitely something to notice there with that. But otherwise, this is definitely a long-range cold front that could potentially create some severe weather. And watch out here for Oklahoma as well. I mentioned that Oklahoma and Arkansas could potentially get some severe weather. They have some dew points that are in the 60s in that general vicinity. So I would not be surprised if they got some activity as well, given that environment. Now, one thing that I like to look at here to help me determine as to whether or not there could be severe weather is the energy levels. I mentioned that a lot on my live stream, and I'll go into a little bit of detail here with what this is. This is the convective available potential energy, or CAPE. What that basically is warm air rising and cold air sinking. The displacement between the two can indicate how much energy there is. So the more the displacement, the more the energy, the higher the energy levels, I should say, the more CAPE you have. So in this instance, you're going to want about 1,500 to higher, almost 1,800 joules per kilogram in order for you to consider severe weather. And watch as this progresses here from Monday into Tuesday. The energy levels then start to rise due to the dew points and the temperature levels starting to become high towards the ground and low in the upper portions of the atmosphere. And that does create some energy levels here across portions of Iowa that could be over 1,000 to almost 1,500. So watch out for that as that continues to spread on through. Now, whether or not that ends up becoming as significant as, say, Friday, I highly doubt it. Because the energy levels on Friday, the December 10th outbreak, was approaching 2,500 to almost 3,000 joules per kilogram. So for the people who are asking as to whether or not this could be as significant as that event, I highly doubt it based off of what the models say right now. So that is the good news for the people who could be impacted by these events. But the one thing that I also want to mention here too is look at the energy levels here across portions of southwestern Missouri into Oklahoma. You got some areas that could be in upwards of 1,000 joules per kilogram CAPE, and that is expected to continue to reside within that general area. So watch out for that, as there could be some residual CAPE that could be lying within some of these vicinities. So to give us a general idea as to where these showers and thunderstorms could be, we're going to be using the instantaneous flash rate, or the lightning flash density, for 6 hours. So that just basically tells us how many times lightning strikes flash per a 6-hour time. That's the average in this instance. And as this continues to move about, you can see on 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock in that general time frame in Central Daylight Time, you can see a lot of lightning starts to reside across portions of Omaha as well as western portions of Iowa, and that is expected to continue all the way through into the portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin as well. But watch this here. You got some more severe weather that could potentially form into portions of Oklahoma as well as Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas, and that's kind of the reason why I'm saying that there could potentially be an extension of more severe weather. That could even get into portions of central Arkansas as well. So watch out for that, especially with most of these areas being impacted by numerous tornadoes. There could be some severe weather for your general vicinity from Wednesday into Thursday and maybe even into Friday. And just to take a look at how the snow portrays itself here in general as our final leave off for the video, you can see how this all kind of moves about into the United States, with snow expected in some areas and upwards of 2 feet in the Rockies, and then that'll continue to move off as the first storm system into portions of the upper Minnesota vicinity, heading off towards Canada. That snow is not expected to be super significant for the event from Wednesday into Thursday, so not really too much of a concern. But then there could potentially be another snow event that maybe could potentially impact the Northeast sometime this weekend from Saturday into Sunday. So watch out if you're in that general vicinity of New England. But then other than that, that's when the models, as I said, start to get pretty wonky. And even that event into the Northeast could potentially be wonky. So I wouldn't say take it with a grain of salt, but I will continue to monitor that event specifically, as that could potentially have a bit of realistic intentions. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for tuning into the video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications by hitting that bell button, share this with friends and family on social media. Also follow me on social medias. I really do appreciate what you guys have done for me. We are over 20,000 subscribers, which was our goal for the end of the year here, and we're already on December 13th. So I really do appreciate your guys' support to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next video tomorrow. So peace out, everyone.